A more intelligently connected world leads to a brighter future. At Qualcomm, we're creating technology solutions to take on some of the world's biggest challenges. See us where 5G and AI help make our streets safer by making city infrastructure smarter. And where 5G and AI help transform manufacturing to be more efficient and less wasteful. Join us in creating a world that is more intelligently connected.
The market opportunity for private mobile networks is only just beginning to be appreciated. It's an exciting area of significant growth in the mobile industry, which already touches many companies and verticals across more than 70 countries globally. But the space remains complex and extremely dynamic. Already we see new challenges to the status quo, with hyperscalers, Open RAN vendors and mobile carriers emerging with new propositions in this market, leveraging network slicing and new as-a-service models in some cases. CCS Insight has recently completed a large worldwide program of original research with a wide range of companies across all major regions, including equipment and software vendors, as well as system integrators and many leading carriers. If you'd like to find out more about the Spotlight report, please don't hesitate to get in touch with the team.
This could be a problem. This could be a problem.
Women beat problems every day. But sexist hate, that's not her problem. It's ours.
People own more and more connected devices, which they value highly and use often. They are also tempted by new types of gadgets, which get unveiled at a great pace. But at the same time, the cost of living is increasing, and so is our awareness of our own environmental impact. So people are changing the way they buy and use devices, and are looking for ways to prolong the useful life of what they already own. Our Connected Consumer Radar is a regular global survey tracking people's attitudes towards connected devices and, importantly, their intentions for the future. It helps business leaders like you navigate the changing consumer expectations and discover new opportunities. get the regular insights from the connected consumer radar, and keep ahead of evolving trends.
Hi, I'm Simon from the research and advisory firm CCS Insight. I lead our channel and supply chain team and would love to speak to you if you're working in the telecoms industry and need to understand how the world's biggest tech industry is recycling and reusing pre-loved devices in its effort to extend their life and reduce the industry's impact on the planet. The research delivers a detailed outline of an industry which is intrinsically complex and changing at pace. We have an ongoing dialogue with the leading companies in this space across all major regions, who share valuable data and information with us in return for our aggregated market view. The information we deliver is original, detailed, accurate, and goes deeper than other research in this area.
Have you not seen my new phone yet? It's actually pretty cool. It literally folds in half, so it's great for group shots. Stands up by itself.
I would never switch to Samsung. I love my phone.
What?
I love my phone. I've always loved my phone.
It literally folds in half. Stands up by itself.
Stands up by itself.
It's actually
pretty cool. But I would never even think about switching. You see, I love my phone. I would never switch to Samsung.
We hope you all enjoyed day 1 and 2 of CCS Insight's predictions for 2023 and beyond. Now let me hand you over to Ben for the final day.
Hi, I'm Ben Wood, Chief Analyst and CMO at CCS Insight. I'm delighted to welcome you to the third and final day of our annual predictions event here at the Barbican Centre in London. Hopefully you've been following from the start and heard some of the predictions we've shared so far. Which ones stood out? Which ones piqued your curiosity? Which ones did you agree or disagree with? Whatever your reaction, we hope it's been thought-provoking. Please do share via social media your thoughts on all of the predictions using the hashtag CCS Predicts. Also, we'll be sending out a link to everyone who registered so you can download the report with the complete set of about 100 predictions. As with day 1 and 2, we have another great session featuring predictions and insights from our analysts. Day 1 of predictions mapped out the digital world, and day 2 focused on digital communities. For day 3, we're zooming in even further to the digital self, the devices we use, the content we consume, and the tech we wear. We'll be looking at what it means to be a digital consumer, how we choose, purchase, and use technology. We'll also consider the way in which our devices not only enhance our lives, but are becoming extensions of ourselves, taking us into new digital domains. How will our online profiles and identities reflect our changing needs? How will connectivity and technology deliver new user experiences for aspects of our lives such as health, fitness, and leisure? We consider the emergence of new markets for the refurbishment of devices and even recycling of materials. And these are areas that CCS Insight has been tracking very closely over the last 18 months. We start with a segment on consumer device trends with my colleagues Parul Saxena and James Manning-Smith. After that, I'm interviewing Patrick Chomet from Samsung to discuss the changing device landscape and what we might expect in the years ahead, such as new form factors, sustainability, health technology, and more. Following that, Simon Bryant introduces a section on new digital environments, with Luke Pearce discussing smart home technology and new media, and Jordan Cox covering smart cars and the automotive space. We'll wrap up the session with Kane McKenna looking at the future of wearables and the user experience which goes with them. We hope this will give you a broad picture of the way devices and wearable technology is enabling our lives in new and interesting ways, and the commercial implications for our industry. The relationship between people and the technologies they use every day is becoming more complex, and the consequences are far-reaching for consumer trends and buying behaviour. We think you're going to find this next hour an engaging mix of commentary, data, and opinion. Over to my colleague Parul to get things started by sharing some of the insights from our Connected Consumer Radar research.
Hello, I am Parul Saxena, Senior Analyst at CCS Insight, and I cover Connected Consumer Research. In this segment, I'm going to look at digital consumer and what we might expect in terms of user trends. Consumer behavior has changed significantly over the last few years. Slow recovery from the pandemic crisis is further hindered by looming economic uncertainty. A growing number of people feel financial pressures and expect a worsening situation in the coming months, with uncertainty impacting their intentions to spend money on non-essentials. We expect households to decrease their spending on connected devices and look for ways to extend the life of their existing devices. In this context, it might sound counterintuitive, but there is still a significant intention to purchase devices. This is partly because consumers value devices highly, partly because they are tempted by the devices they do not currently own, and partly because the second-hand market offers more affordable alternatives. We capture these changing consumer attitudes, behaviors, and sentiments through Connected Consumer Radar, our bi-monthly recurring survey that we conduct in 6 advanced markets. The survey covers 19 types of established connected devices. It also looks at some novel upcoming devices that are in the very early stages of adoption. In this study, we asked people about their current and intended future ownership, usage and lifespan of devices, and their interest in alternatives to buying new devices, either buying second-hand or repairing an old device. We also probe into consumer attitudes to the environment in general and specifically related to connected devices. The data from our survey shows that on average, households currently own between 3 and 4 connected devices per person. We expect this to grow in the coming years as adoption of existing devices grows, connectivity proliferates into wearables and other previously unconnected devices, and with the emergence of new types of devices, such as smart glasses. We predict that by 2027 there is an average of 6 connected devices per person in Western economies. However, not all these devices will be new. There is significant consumer interest in second-hand or refurbished devices. Our research shows that over 1/3 of consumers in Western markets have purchased at least one second-hand device in the past, with a growing number of consumers interested in buying second-hand devices in the future. This could reduce the total addressable market for new devices, but will also create opportunities for companies who are willing to shift their strategies to capitalize on this change in consumer behavior. Consequently, we predict that in 2023, half of the households in Western Europe have at least one second-hand connected device. While cost is the dominant motivation in consumers' decision to purchase second-hand products, green reasons also score very highly. There are regional differences too. For instance, sustainability factors more heavily in Western Europe than in the US, where cost is by far the most important factor. But overall, consumers across all the markets are increasingly committed to adopting sustainable lifestyles and product choices. In fact, the environment is also one of the top reasons why consumers are willing to repair their devices. A growing proportion is opting for repairs to lengthen the life of their devices and to reduce the environmental impact. However, there is currently a gap between people's desire to repair their devices and their ability to get the repairs done, because of the cost of repairs and the lack of repair services and spare parts for most devices. With governments also becoming more active on these issues, device companies are under pressure to stop making repairs so difficult. A recently proposed EU regulation that covers tablets and mobile phones would require manufacturers to provide 15 different spare parts for at least 5 years after the launch of the product, and to have long-lasting batteries. In addition, phones would also have to display an energy efficiency label. As the trend towards repair is clear, we believe there could be an opportunity for device makers and service providers to innovate in this space and gain a first-mover advantage. Here is our prediction. In 2023, a major manufacturer offers a multi-year servicing and repair plan for devices over a certain price. As opposed to constantly trying to add new features, device manufacturers could differentiate their products by providing high-quality, long-lasting products and a better service and repair experience to their consumers. Consumer behavior is changing, and this will continue as we face more uncertainties, particularly around cost of living and environmental impact. But even under constrained circumstances, consumers value the devices that enable their online lifestyles, and it is vital for device providers to be attuned to the connected consumer mindset and how it drives future device purchase decisions.
Hello, I'm James Manning-Smith, Senior Analyst at CCS Insight, and I cover market forecasting across consumer devices and operator services. Following Parul's dive into CCS Insight's Connected Consumer Radar, I want to take stock of how some of these trends will impact technology markets and technology usage in the future. As Parul has discussed, consumers in developed markets are looking to extend the life of their devices and are showing a growing interest in purchasing second-hand. In 2022 and beyond, we expect to see these trends add to a recalibration of the global smartphone market, ultimately leading to a shift in the centre of gravity for smartphone demand away from the West and China and towards developing economies. Over the last 3 years, a cocktail of issues have had an impact on the mobile phone market, from the closure of retail to lost incomes to component shortages limiting supply. And now, with the global economy in a turbulent place, we expect to see a short-term fall of demand as consumers struggle with the cost of living. While we expect rates of new smartphone adoption to recover, driving market growth in the developing world, smartphone replacement is expected to remain at even lower levels than we saw pre-pandemic, limiting the demand potential in the already saturated developed markets. My first prediction for the day highlights the extent of this. As new mobile phone demand lags in developed markets, we predict that, in 2024, India overtakes China to become the world's largest mobile phone market by sales volume. Additionally, second-hand smartphone sales are soaring, driven by consumers looking for a more environmentally friendly and affordable smartphone purchase option. While the second-hand market was helped by shortages of new mobile phones during the pandemic, we forecast the market to expand from just over 200 million second-hand smartphone sales in 2019 to over 300 million forecast for 2022. With second-hand smartphone sales forecast to reach 400 million in 2026, the growing rates of purchasing are set to further dampen demand for first-hand smartphones, adding an additional element of competition to the market, particularly in the West. As demand for smartphones is dampened, wearables and virtual and augmented reality headsets are set to pick up some of the slack, providing new opportunities for growth. On wearables, we remain confident we will see growing rates of adoption in the next 5 years, albeit with a short-term dip during the worst of the current economic fallout. Our smartwatch survey highlights the growing interest in wearables purchasing, reporting that 66% of non-wearable device owners intend to purchase a smartwatch in the future, up from 60% in our 2021 survey. Worldwide, we have forecast the install base of smartwatches to reach nearly 800 million in 2026. When we include fitness trackers to this, total wearable ownership is forecast to be over 1.1 billion, a massive opportunity for additional services based around user data. With that in mind, we predict that Apple will enter the US health insurance business in 2024. The reams of data Apple Watches are able to collect through sports and fitness tracking alongside ambient health monitoring could provide a significant competitive advantage in health insurance and potentially leads to lower health insurance premiums for Apple Watch users. While Apple holds a significant share of the global smartwatch market today, competitive landscapes change. Markets such as China, where mobile ecosystem owners like Tencent offer a huge variety of services, may be ripe for similar opportunities as wearable ownership grows and new wearable devices gain traction. We predict by 2030, intelligent wireless body monitoring leads to a pervasive and personalized healthcare. As a much wider market of wearables incorporate sensors to record health metrics, from body temperature to blood flow to emotion detection, we expect to see major advancements in health tracking software, offering wider health lifestyle advice and acting as a preventative tool. Lastly, I want to touch on virtual and augmented reality. We expect to see nearly 60 million virtual reality headset sales in 2026, with the market expanding almost 8 times from its volume in 2021. In addition, we expect augmented reality headsets to become a fledgling market by 2026, with 30 million shipments forecast for the year. Our recent virtual reality survey highlighted that technology enthusiasts, those who live in households that own at least 7 connected devices, overwhelmingly showed interest in purchasing virtual reality headsets, with 67% reporting they had considered purchasing one in the last 12 months. We think we're just around the corner from seeing a slew of product announcements from leading device makers in the virtual and augmented reality hardware space, something we predicted at last year's event. Driven by the growing range of available products, we predict by 2033, almost 30% of people in developed markets own a virtual reality headset and almost 20% own an augmented reality headset. This will likely result in half of households having access to some form of immersive augmented or virtual reality device. The raft of new product launches and growing ownership will enable operating systems from Apple and Android to Microsoft and Mac to achieve rich, immersive experiences through new extended reality hardware, igniting, as my colleague Leo Gebbe has discussed, a battle to own the extended reality space. To sum things up, although the global economy remains in a precarious place, advancing technology and richer user experiences are still high on the consumer adoption agenda. While shifts in the global technology landscape are set to make growth in some markets more difficult, the development of novel product categories is expected to more than make up for lost ground.
Thanks, James. It's great to get your thoughts on how the market's going to evolve, and there's definitely some topics there that I'm going to touch on now. I'm delighted to be joined by Patrick Chomet, Executive Vice President of Samsung Mobile's Experience Division. And when it comes to experiences, there's no better place to be than here at Samsung's KX flagship store in London. Patrick, welcome.
Wonderful to meet you, Ben.
Super to see you. So Patrick, where I wanted to start was, I wonder if you could just reflect a little bit on your journey at Samsung since you joined, because it's been quite an eventful time and there's been a lot of changes, really positive, that have happened.
I joined nearly 6 years ago, and fair to say at the time and for a long time, Samsung have been leading innovation in mobile devices. What we try to do and to change is, whilst we were leading and we've been leading innovation in mobile devices, is how to deliver much more compelling end-to-end experiences to consumers. And by experience, I mean simply what people do with our devices. They communicate, they consume internet content, watch movies, listen to music, and so on. How can we enable those customer actions in a more complete way on every device, starting with smartphone, but each and every touch point, smartphones, tablet, phone, PC, watches, and so on. So we've been focusing a lot on what we call completeness.
And that's really interesting, because as we heard from my colleague Parul earlier, at CCS Insight, we're predicting that by 2027, on average, there'll be 6 connected devices owned by each individual in advanced economies. And given that you're trying to bring your devices together, is that something you think could happen? Are you seeing evidence of that at Samsung?
Definitely, we see that. We see that it could be more. When we talk about mobile devices, of course, we see a huge growth of new categories, such as the hearable and watches. We talk about that, tablets, PC. But if we move into the wider environment of the home, it could be much more with IoT and home devices connected through our SmartThings platform. So definitely, that's something that we see. We are trying to do it in a responsible way. So we want to deliver true value to consumers as opposed to gadgets. And the key there is, again, to think deeply about the customer actions, which are in majority about communication, consumption of contents, health and fitness, and working, productivity. And for each of these categories of experiences, we try to deliver the value ourselves or with best-in-class partners. And if you want to understand our overall strategy, the partnership and the openness of the ecosystem is at the core of it, because our ultimate motive is what is the need of the customer, and we are looking for the best-in-class partners to work with us to deliver that experience.
That's great. So it sounds like you are trying to put those pieces of the jigsaw together. Let's zoom in on one particular area, foldables. It's been a really big investment area for Samsung, and I think you're kind of in a position where I'm sure you've learned a lot. You're starting to see some of the use cases, and maybe you could tell us a bit as well about Samsung's competitive advantage in that space.
That's very, very telling example about the company DNA. Actually, I believe Samsung Mobile, we started to work on foldables way before I arrived in the company, probably 10 years ago. Many companies can innovate, many companies can produce consumer electronics, but to innovate on complex technologies at high quality, high safety, high scale is something that is difficult. And I believe Samsung is probably the only company that can cover all of those requirements. So whilst we started to work on foldable technology a long time ago, we only released the product when we were sure about this technology. So the hinge, durability and robustness at large scale is a critical issue. And not only that, the hardware is very innovative and meaningful, but how about the experience? Because it's not about folding a phone. I see that you have the Fold 4 here. Yep. The value here is the big screen, and you know that with the big screen, you can also enjoy multitasking and multi-window. Our partnership with Microsoft has been very, very powerful there to enable the main productivity apps to work in multitask and through multi-window operations. Our partnership with Google has been instrumental. We had to innovate the Android platform to support this multi-screen with screen continuity. You can move from your main screen to the folded position with a continuity of the experience. So it's not just about building a piece of hardware, it's having the end-to-end experience that match the consumer needs. We have two segments on the foldable. One is clearly fold around productivity, but also the flip, which I believe is a game changer in terms of self-expression and desirability, the way you can use the camera to be able to make selfies and video with your hands free. Absolute game changer in terms of the angles the customer can enjoy. People love it. You can customize the experience with your front screen and your watch. You can even build your own flip devices with our bespoke edition. So it's a complete different set of needs and customer that we touch. So we started kind of long time ago from a piece of hardware innovation, but now we are much more thinking about the true value and needs it delivers to consumers, and they love it. It's the start of a journey.
So there's a lot of your competitors starting to move into this space. Where do you see your competitive advantage on the foldable space? Is it that heritage? Is it the fact that you've been doing it for a long time?
Well, sure. I think we're pleased to see that many companies follow or try to follow. As I said, we do our homework. We work hard to build the right products at the right quality level and large scale for all customer needs, from productivity to fashion. And we will continue to innovate and compete. And I think it's great for the overall industry that we have some new things coming.
Excellent. Let's move to a different area. And it's something you touched on earlier, which was health and wellness. And it's a hot area right now. We're seeing lots of technology companies looking at it. For me, I think it's almost becoming a societal issue. So how are you using health and wellness at Samsung, not only to improve the experience on your devices, but actually to improve the experience for your customers as well?
Yeah, I think it's a very serious thing. I've been in the industry a long time, and we started with communication devices being about, well, mobile devices being about communication, messaging and phone calls. And with the advent of 3G, we added internet. So internet and consumption of content, video and streaming. And then the camera. So the communication devices to internet devices became the main photography creation and vision device that people have. I do believe that health is actually the next big mission, right, the next big thing on our mobile devices. So within a few years, health and fitness care will be one of the main functions that people expect from their mobile devices, as is the camera, as is communication, as is internet browsing.
Yeah, and I think we see that as well with what the research we're doing, that more and more people are relying on this. And I think the pandemic's been a real catalyst for that as well, that people are thinking more about their personal health. And I guess you can help them with metrics and information and training and all sorts of things.
Absolutely. So we started with the watch several years ago, and the focus was casual fitness tracking, so steps tracking and sports and running and things like that. And recently, of course, there is a huge acceleration, much more. So two different areas we see are needed. Helping people with better health management and prediction. So things like tracking your ECG, electrocardiograms, blood pressure tracking. We are adding temperature sensors in the new watches already. So all of that going into the direction of helping people with caring and prediction for better health. And also the concern on digital wellness, right, helping people live a better life. One area of interest for us has been sleep. Right. Sleep monitoring and management is very, very interesting area, which is well developed on our new watch. And we will provide more and more of this function, including coaching.
Excellent.
In due course.
So really trying to take, as you say, it's that journey you've been on, hardware, different iterations of hardware, but now some of these more softer kind of capabilities. So Patrick, the environment is a topic that nobody can really ignore right now. In fact, I was at the IFA show a few weeks ago, and it was an omnipresent theme. Samsung had a huge focus on it there. I'm really intrigued to understand, in a company like Samsung, I know you're very committed to the environment, but how are you doing it? What are the complexities associated with it, and why is it such a big area for your company?
But it is a big deal because we are a consumer electronics company and we operate at very large scale, and so it's a big responsibility. We announced that our strategy around 4 pillars a few years ago, and we are pursuing it consistently over many years. Number one, obviously in our products, accelerate the use of recyclable materials and components. So we are driving that hard. That's very complex. I'm happy to say that over 90% of the devices that we do today include some form of recyclable materials.
Right.
A good example is actually the last Buds, Galaxy Buds Pro, which is made of 90% actually of recyclable parts or materials. So
wow.
that's great. You heard about the fishing net initiative, which we are happy about. Every year, 640,000 tons of fishing net are abandoned in the ocean. We started to recycle these materials to use them in some parts in our smartphones, including S-series. Not only smartphones, PC, Galaxy Book, and the recent Tab S8 include some of those parts. And we hope to scale that initiative to deliver a meaningful contribution. So number one is our products and components. Number two, on the packaging, already in the flagship devices, S and Z series, 100% of the packaging, the paper is recyclable, recycled. And that's, to give you an idea of the scale again, it's 51,000 trees per year.
Wow.
Not only the products and the packaging, I think we need to think about the life cycle. That's the third pillar. So on the life cycle, we accelerate the self-repair initiatives, starting in the US, but also for many years we've been promoting this Galaxy upcycling program, which enable people to easily recycle a Galaxy device into a SmartThings IoT device. Could be a home camera or another IoT use case, including also health application. We have some very good use of Galaxy devices for eye health in Africa. So upcycling of all devices or self-repair and enabling the life cycle to be a bit more healthy is a third pillar. And last but not the least, the community. We are a partner of the United Nations for a long time, and we are powered 200 million devices with the UNDP app to enable all of the Galaxy community contribute as much as Samsung will do to a better world.
Wow, so that's a lot. And I mean, I guess for me, I think the thing is, it's as a big company, it takes a long time. There's risks associated with new experimental components, so it's a journey that you're on, I guess.
Absolutely, and that's why we tend to make the goals clear, as I mentioned, and to have consistent execution over a long time. It's a long journey.
Excellent.
Consistency is the key.
Finally, we're here at the predictions event. It's all about the predictions. We've done 100 inside the company, but I'd love to hear from you whether you have any thoughts on that. I mean, I realize there's some aspects you can't talk about because you probably know a bit of the future at Samsung, but is there a prediction you could share with the audience that's close to your heart and you think might happen?
Prediction. I think you do a better job at that than me. But, something which is as much a prediction than a wish. It's a wish, but I believe we'll make it happen. Let's say by 2025, with the advance we see in the AI and machine learning technologies heavily used in all the parts of the experience, as well as the advance we see on sensors. We talk about sensors. And then immersive tech. There is a lot of talk about the metaverse and avatars and immersive technology, input-output. My prediction is all of these advances actually will contribute to something more fundamental and useful, which is a leap forward in accessibility and inclusion of people in all kinds of societal activities, work and others.
So all of those technologies blending to really develop quite a holistic experience.
Power, accessibility and inclusion.
Wow.
I think that's my wish and
bold
goal.
Prediction. Well, thanks for sharing that. Patrick, thank you so much for giving your time to us today. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope we can do this again, maybe in a few months' time as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
Have you not seen my new phone yet? It's actually pretty cool. It literally folds in half, so it's great for group shots. Stands up by itself.
I would never switch to Samsung. I love my phone.
What? I love my phone. I've always loved my phone.
It literally folds in half. stands up by itself?
Stands up by itself.
It's actually
pretty cool. But I would never even think about switching. You see, I love my phone. I would never switch to Samsung.
Hello, I'm Simon Bryant, Vice President of Channel and Supply Chain Research here at CCS Insight, responsible for overseeing the company's new data-driven methodologies and products across all telecom sectors, as well as managing our exciting relationship with the Global Mobile Suppliers Association. In this section of predictions, we'll be looking at new connectivity environments. 5G is a game-changing technology, and its adoption is accelerating. We predict that over half of the countries in the world will have 5G by 2023, with new deployments in India and some parts of Africa set to launch their first networks. 5G has a unique combination of connectivity characteristics that makes it hugely adaptable, including high capacity, low latency, and seamless mobility. When combined with other emerging technologies, such as AI, edge computing, and cloud networking, 5G opens up new digital domains. It is set to transform industrial environments with 5G private networks, as you heard my colleague Richard Webb talk about yesterday. Our work with the GSA shows private mobile networks are already mission critical for nearly 889 organizations across 70 countries globally, across manufacturing, education, mining, and much more. 40% of these customer deployments are 5G enabled, and we expect this share to grow moving forward. Of course, new connected environments require new devices. The number of available 5G devices is expanding, and whilst it will continue to remain below the number of LTE devices, we predict that in 2023, the number of 5G phone models passes 1,000. The ecosystem for 5G devices is expanding beyond just smartphones to include IoT modules, sensors, vehicle onboard units, drones, robots, kiosks, televisions, health and fitness wearables, amongst many, many more. We know this because we track this space every month across all form factors, brands and countries with our work for the Global Mobile Suppliers Association. The advancements of 5G in combination with fiber and Wi-Fi and non-terrestrial networks will lead to ever-increasing data speeds and capacity, acting as the underlying lifeblood to open up new interconnected environments. These will not only traverse boundaries both inside and outside the home, across work, leisure, entertainment and travel, but in the case of augmented reality, environments like the metaverse blur the boundaries between the physical and the virtual. This is an area we are watching closely, and we have several predictions related to the metaverse across our AR and wearables research areas, including some coming up towards the end of today's event. But for now, let's dive into connected home and connected mobility with my colleagues Luke Pearce and Jordan Cox.
Thanks, Simon. Hi, I'm Luke Pearce, and I'm a senior analyst responsible for supporting our new data products over a number of different product areas. I wanted to share some thoughts around one of those new connected environments Simon just mentioned, the smart home, and some of the related digital content that could become part of our future entertainment user experience. The amount of smart home devices will continue to increase, as my colleague Parul mentioned earlier, with the average number of connected devices expected to almost double over the next few years. These devices will incorporate a wide-ranging number of applications, with increasing adoption of smart doorbells, robotic vacuum cleaners, lawn mowers, and smart lights to newer applications, such as smart healthcare, food and service delivery, or emissions monitoring. To support these devices, in-home connectivity will need to be more robust and reliable, so the race to deliver gigabit broadband to the home will continue to grow its relevance. Although the fanfare around the likes of Alexa, Bixby, Siri and Google Assistant has slowed in recent years, its foundations are now laid, with significant penetration across many of the devices we own in our homes, and we think that voice assistants will become a leading user interface to control these devices across our homes, cars and smart city environments over the next 5 years. Digital voice assistants will become the most logical way for users to interact with devices and media, and their role will expand. eclipsing the traditional command and control functionality we see today to be more conversational, proactive, and delivering more domain-specific applications. Despite the proliferation of smart speakers and virtual assistants on phones, there has been little advancement in the capabilities that they offer. We believe that could soon change. CCS Insight predicts that by 2024, Siri gains the ability to speak to a user without being summoned. Apple, in particular, will seek to revolutionise this space by allowing Siri to speak without a wake word, so that it can ask questions of a user, remind them of upcoming events, and become more contextually aware, like asking if we want to turn the lights off when we leave the house. In this way, it will serve as a more proactive digital companion rather than simply a responsive tool. And how could connected devices help with everyday challenges? Well, when we do need help by speaking to a real person, we might use our AR glasses for remote assistance. We have a prediction that in 2023, a major smartphone maker's smart glasses open a market for remote consumer assistance. Remote support using augmented reality is already a key use case in vertical markets. The consumer market is now ripe for innovation in services and software which provide instruction on basic repairs and maintenance for consumer goods such as boilers, cars and electronics. And over time, this will expand to include telehealth, veterinary services, interior design advice and beyond. When it's time for relaxation, we will continue to have a wealth of digital media at our fingertips with ever-expanding libraries of streaming content. This content will become significantly more interactive, personalised to you and immersive, both in terms of the visual and audio experience, with advancements in spatial awareness. This wealth of content will continue to give rise to the competitiveness of streaming providers like Netflix and Disney+, and we expect to see more consolidation across geographies, as well as new ad-funded models. With the industry maturing, the conversation shifts away from adding subscribers towards retaining them and increasing their spend. Another way to achieve this could be through cracking down on credential sharing, which is something we think will happen next year. We predict that using facial recognition and fingerprints, much like mobile bank accounts, that by 2023, the integration of biometric logins allows streaming services to clamp down on password sharing. Video gaming will also become more accessible through cloud gaming, in which its development will be led by both traditional console companies, but also new big tech entrants. Amazon Luna, Amazon's cloud gaming services, which utilizes AWS, launched its gaming initiative in the US market in 2020. But over the next couple of years, Amazon will double down on its offering in new markets to solidify itself as an established game platform and provide an alternative experience to that of Microsoft Xbox and Sony PlayStation. As a result, we predict that by 2025, Amazon Luna is the most successful newcomer to cloud gaming. With these huge user bases of around 200 million Amazon Prime members and around 140 million monthly active users on the Amazon-owned Twitch platform, Amazon is the best placed big tech vendor to capitalize on this space in comparison to other new entrants like Google Stadia, which has underwhelmed. Smarter homes could help to bring the digital world to our fingertips, but now I'll pass over to Jordan to show that our connected environments won't end as we step out the door.
Hello, I'm Jordan Cox. I'm an analyst within the channel and supply chain stream, and I will be sharing some thoughts around connected cars and mobility. Stepping into our cars might look very different in a few years' time. Autonomous vehicles have been on the cusp of reality for some time, but still face many challenges in bringing this new, connected environment to the scale, reliability, and performance that can truly realise its potential. One significant barrier is the safety of pedestrians. Currently, drivers and pedestrians rely on subtle interactions, such as body language and eye contact, to communicate. Without the driver behind the wheel, pedestrians have no way of predicting what the vehicle will do. To solve this issue, the concept of an EHMI, or an external human-machine interface, has been created by the likes of Nissan, Volvo, and Mercedes. An EHMI is a way of visually conveying information of an autonomous vehicle's intentions, decreasing the risk of accidents. Therefore, we predict an external system to communicate autonomous vehicles' intentions undergoes on-road testing by 2026. Evidence is needed on their efficacy, and we expect that commercial trials will be up and running within the next 3 to 4 years to assess this. The experience of being a driver in a car will gradually shift from being focused on driving to instead becoming a new space for relaxation as a passenger, and we expect many platforms and services to be launched to capitalise on this burgeoning leisure time. 5G will be a critical technology in enabling the autonomous vehicle, and network operators and content providers will want to get involved. As our telecoms analyst Kester predicted in yesterday's event, by 2025 at least 25 telecom operators offer connected car services as an add-on to consumer 5G plans. Initially, the focus is on in-vehicle connectivity, but we predict that these operators will increase their activity in this area over the next couple of years, striking partnerships with vehicle manufacturers to offer eSIM connectivity, diagnostics, security and tracking, entertainment services, and personalised offers with third-party retailers. Technology pioneers such as Apple, Google and Sony are all anticipated to be active in this new next generation of mobility, poised to bring innovation but also potential disruption. However, automotive development is intensely complicated, characterised by long development lead times and low margins, so strategic positioning is still evolving. For instance, we predict that Apple, in the short term, will remain focused instead on enhancing its Apple CarPlay ecosystem, rather than releasing a vehicle within the next 3 years. Apple's automotive ambitions have long been the subject of debate. We believe Apple's strategy is caught between two realities: the need to find a large enough growth opportunity to supplement slowing iPhone revenues, and the risk associated with breaking into a highly competitive, low-margin automotive industry. We expect Apple to continue evaluating its options. In the background, it still maintains a team focused on physical automotive development. And like Apple, CCS Insight will continue watching closely.
Hi, I'm Simon from the research and advisory firm CCS Insight. I lead our channel and supply chain team and would love to speak to you if you're working in the telecoms industry and need to understand how the world's biggest tech industry is recycling and reusing pre-loved devices in its effort to extend their life and reduce the industry's impact on the planet. The research delivers a detailed outline of an industry which is intrinsically complex and changing at pace. We have an ongoing dialogue with the leading companies in this space across all major regions who share valuable data and information with us in return for our aggregated market view. The information we deliver is original, detailed, accurate and goes deeper than other research in this area.
Hello, I'm Kane McKenna. I've recently joined CCS Insight as an analyst covering the wearables market, and I'm pleased to be part of this year's predictions. I'd like to wrap up today's event by highlighting some of the fascinating ways in which the interface between human and technology continues to narrow. The question of how our devices respond to us as people is something I find really interesting, and I'd like to share a few predictions about the future of the connected self. Wearables is a great place to start. We've seen devices like smartwatches become more and more invaluable digital assistants, offering everything from heart health insights, identifying irregular patterns and warning users about serious conditions, to sleep coaching, meditation guidance, combating stress, and focusing on mindfulness. And we're continuing to see progress in this area. For example, women's health has been a relatively underdeveloped area for some time, and it feels as though it's finally starting to get more attention as a key part of health sensing on wearables. The recently launched Apple Watch Series 8 adds temperature sensors which aim to alert users who menstruate about when they most recently ovulated, which has huge potential to help people understand their body in more detail. But looking to the future, what else do people want from their devices with regards to their health and well-being? Well, we recently completed an in-depth smartwatch survey covering 4,000 people across 4 different geographies to ask them all about their interest in smartwatches, how they use them, and what they think the devices of the future need to look like. We found that the top improvement people wanted to see in smartwatches of the future was the ability to help predict and manage medical conditions. However, there were lots of other answers that stood out too. People want more from their watches in terms of guidance and support for a good night's sleep, to help them to manage their stress, and to make healthier choices like selecting a more balanced diet. The picture that's emerging here is that connecting smartwatches to health platforms already offers a range of capabilities, but users still want more. The idea of helping with diet is something that caught my attention. We've seen a radical change in the way that people buy food in recent years, with massive digital transformation across the order and delivery of groceries and meals, but arguably other areas of technology are yet to really catch up. After all, your smartwatch and associated health platform can be used to log your diet, but can't connect to the food you actually buy and eat. Well, this could change. We predict that in 2023, partnerships emerge between tech companies offering health insights and grocery and food delivery companies. As increasingly rich data gathered from users allows for more tailored insights, we predict that collaborations like this could see more people ordering food in a more personalised manner. For example, people could be guided towards high-protein meals after an especially tough workout, or to non-caffeinated drinks if they've been having trouble sleeping. This would be a powerful way for wearables to have a more immediate impact on users' day-to-day lives and help them to make healthier decisions. We also expect that the sensors in our devices will continue to become smarter, allowing them to understand us better than ever before. To some extent, we've seen a slowing of innovation in established devices such as smartwatches. But as other device types emerge in the future, new sensors will grow in tandem as the need to build a compelling user experience requires new means of input, control, and user analysis to deliver new forms of content and services. For example, let's take a look at virtual reality, which my colleague James has spoken about today. This is an area where we're projecting strong growth with high uptake of devices in advanced markets. But it's an area which has had its fair share of problems so far in terms of bringing new users on board. VR is often seen as niche and inaccessible, and getting to grips with things like controllers can be challenging for new users, especially those who are less tech savvy. There have been attempts across the industry to make VR more accessible by doing away with controllers, with hand tracking seen as the solution. However, we think the technology could go one step further and turn to neural sensors. Neural sensors can detect brain activity, allowing users to control certain elements of technology with their mind. For emerging technologies like VR, where the entirety of the user interface is being reimagined, this could be transformative in allowing people to engage with virtual worlds in new ways. We've seen some great examples of this sort of technology from startups like NextMind and Control Labs, the latter of which was acquired by Meta. For that reason, we predict Meta will launch VR headsets controlled by inbuilt head-worn neural sensors, as these will provide a far more accurate means of understanding a user's intentions and replicating this in the virtual world. The shift in user interfaces away from physical buttons and touchscreens and towards gestures and actions will only be accelerated by the growth of technologies like VR and AR. And I'm so excited to watch this space over the coming years. One final aspect I'd like to touch on is technology areas ripe for tighter integration with user biometric information. The number of sensors on our devices makes it easier to validate our digital identities, which we've seen utilised on services such as banking apps featuring biometric login via fingerprints or facial recognition. As technology becomes more personalised, we anticipate that this will become more widespread, particularly for subscriptions and services which need to validate their users. For example, we predict the integration of biometric login with a wider range of services provides a route for streaming apps to clamp down on password sharing by 2023. For services like Netflix, keen to prevent account sharing, biometrics would be an easy way to achieve this. Unlike passwords, they are non-shareable, assess liveness, and are seen by a large portion of the market as a trusted, low-friction method of authentication. And really, Netflix is just one example. As many digital services become more personalised, the idea of verifying your identity with biometrics may become commonplace in all sorts of additional use cases. I know that last prediction might not be popular with everyone, particularly people who are managing to fly under Netflix's radar at the moment by sharing account details. But I think what it points to is our expectation that we'll see our bodies more seamlessly integrated with technology in the future, the physical self connected to the digital self, as it were. Whether it's through smartwatches or other wearables such as cameras, heart rate monitors, or neural sensors, or even digital clothing formats that are in prototype, there's no doubt that technology will have a greater potential to respond to our needs, working as a seamlessly integrated companion by baking the bodily experience into the user experience.
So that draws to a close Predictions 2023 and beyond. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed putting it together. Thanks to all my colleagues at CCS Insight for their efforts in making the event a reality. It really is a team effort, not just from the Analyst team, but from our publishing, sales, marketing and production teams too. And of course, a huge thank you to our sponsors, EE, Qualcomm and Samsung, with my particular thanks again to Patrick Chomet of Samsung for contributing to today's session. But most of all, thank you to you for watching. We've covered a lot of ground in the past 3 days, assessing the macroeconomic climate and some of the big tech trends and the key tech players leading the evolution of the internet. We've discussed how regulation might reshape the digital landscape and the ways infrastructure and connectivity will need to adapt to our needs. Additionally, we've looked at how some of the emerging digital environments are shaping up, from smart home technology to the metaverse via the connected car. And we hope you've enjoyed the journey and have come away with a strong understanding of who CCS Insight are and the breadth of our technology market coverage. Predictions is a forum for engagement, so please feel free to share your thoughts on social media regarding what we've predicted using the hashtag CCSPredicts. Conversation is the lifeblood of our industry, and we're always approachable if you want to share ideas, exchange views, or just tell us we're wrong. We'll be reaching out to everyone who registered for the event to provide a link to the full list of our predictions, but in the meantime, don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you for being part of Predictions 2023 and beyond. We look forward to talking to you again soon.
People own more and more connected devices, which they value highly and use often. They are also tempted by new types of gadgets, which get unveiled at a great pace. But at the same time, the cost of living is increasing, and so is our awareness of our own environmental impact. So people are changing the way they buy and use devices, and are looking for ways to prolong the useful life of what they already own. Our Connected Consumer Radar is a regular global survey tracking people's attitudes towards connected devices and, importantly, their intentions for the future. It helps business leaders like you navigate the changing consumer expectations and discover new opportunities. Get the regular insights from the Connected Consumer Radar and keep ahead of evolving trends.
The market opportunity for private mobile networks is only just beginning to be appreciated. It's an exciting area of significant growth in the mobile industry, which already touches many companies and verticals across more than 70 countries globally. But the space remains complex and extremely dynamic. Already we see new challenges to the status quo, with hyperscalers, open RAN vendors and mobile carriers emerging with new propositions in this market, leveraging network slicing and new as-a-service models in some cases. CCS Insight has recently completed a large worldwide program of original research with a wide range of companies across all major regions, including equipment and software vendors, as well as system integrators and many leading carriers. If you'd like to find out more about the Spotlight report, please don't hesitate to get in touch with the team. Hi, I'm Simon from the research and advisory firm CCS Insight. I lead our channel and supply chain team and would love to speak to you if you're working in the telecoms industry and need to understand how the world's biggest tech industry is recycling and reusing pre-loved devices in its effort to extend their life and reduce the industry's impact on the planet. The research delivers a detailed outline of an industry which is intrinsically complex and changing at pace. We have an ongoing dialogue with the leading companies in this space across all major regions, who share valuable data and information with us in return for our aggregated market view. The information we deliver is original, detailed, accurate and goes deeper than other research in this area.